Okay, I thought I would do just a quick overview today of where I'm at after my fairly lengthy period to just take some time off from uh, mainly the Urantia book and stuff, and kind of think about how things all fit together and what my take on it is. And most of this is probably a recap of what I've touched on before, but things have kind of crystallized for me. And without knowing more and without having more evidence, I think at this point it's my view that the Urantia book is, to a large extent, the real deal. And I qualify that because, like I said before, I believe there's more than ample evidence that historically it has been tampered with, or basically the only time that I know of it looks like it was tampered with was at the outset, when Dr. Sadler was kind of the intermediary between the psychic source of the information and the publication of the information. And it does appear that he was heavily biased against any kind of psychic or paranormal phenomena and against reincarnation and quite possibly certain aspects of alternative history. I just say that because of my own view. But the other points against reincarnation and psychic phenomena, definitely he historically was known to have a bias against those things. But look, I'm not just trying to pick something apart, and I'm not just trying to rebel against some view that's in the Urantia book. Almost everything I read in there, it vibrates really strongly with me and with all these other sources. And so therefore, I am very much with it. And yes, some things have been challenging to a certain degree, but really the only challenging part has been the discrepancies. The rest of it has been very enlightening, because on almost every other point, especially having to do with the cosmology, the universe, the nature of man, the mind of man, the higher self, and many other points, it not only jives perfectly with these readings from Cottrell and Cayce and Solomon and the others, it also gives much more detailed information on almost all those topics. And it's much more structured, and it seems like a much cleaner take, if you will, like a very definitive step-by-step description of the ABCs of how all these different things work and how the universe is divided up and its organization and things like that, and how what we are made up of, what are the different parts of us spiritually, mentally, and things. That's all described in just terrific detail. And the more I read from the different readings of these various sources, and the more I read of the Urantia book, the more it all adds up and paints a very clear picture. And that's very inspiring. And again, it's not that the Urantia book really has major sections or major ideas it advances that are against these other readings. The only discrepancy really is in what the Urantia book oddly leaves out, in a way. And I don't know, from what I've seen so far, I think the Urantia book, maybe some entire papers were left out, but from the papers that are there, it just seems like it was very lightly and deftly tampered with, just to eliminate descriptions of things that were paranormal, considered paranormal or psychic, or things having to do with past lives. And it was made to appear that it was painting a picture without them. But really, if you look at the cosmology, there's this gaping hole there, because in agreement with the other readings, it really outlines this evolutionary progressive advancement that we all go through, and they all corroborate as far as different types of sojourns that an entity can go through to learn different types of things, and being able to wait for a loved one and then before advancing on and things like that. These all corroborate very well with these other sources. It's completely. And the only missing part is, which is in the grand scheme of things, a minor missing part, is the possibility of sojourning again on this earth, or these initial realms, these material worlds. And that, it almost seems like there are some side references that leave that as a definite possibility in the Urantia book, and I suppose those would be areas that were missed in the attempt to edit things out. And other than that, it just pretty much says nothing about it, except for one or two statements where it says the only type of reincarnation is on, such and such an area of such and such type of being, it has nothing to do with humanity, which could easily have been added in or edited a little bit, just one or two places. But as far as the grand cosmology, there's kind of something missing there, a missing logical step that would be, if we gain so much in learning from this place, why wouldn't we go through it again? That kind of a thing. And if you listen to all these other sources, well, they're saying, well, sure, and we definitely do, and we definitely have. And that's exactly why, because there are so many things to gain, and this is one of many places that we can learn things in advance. And so we do apparently avail ourselves of that repeatedly over time from our limited perspective. The Urantia book and the other sources, but especially the Urantia book, goes to great lengths to point out that our perception, just because we're in a finite incarnation, our perception is necessarily one that includes a concept of rigid time, past, present, future. And because of that, there's an extreme limitation on things we can comprehend. And I wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing with past lives plays into that somewhat. But the other sources definitely include that, heavily include that, as a significant factor that affects us. And again, that would make sense. If we're still here, for those of us that are still here, we are kind of at that level where we can learn, we need the lessons that this environment, this earth and places like it, teach us. And so, of course, for us, then it would play heavily. Reincarnation in this place and other places like it would definitely be a significant part of our past, currently as it stands. Now, countless millennia from now, when we've advanced far beyond that on average, then of course reincarnation on this earth would be a very minor part of our history. So in the grand cosmology, it's definitely not that significant. But for us right now, where most of us are right now, it is very significant. It is very important. And it's very unfortunate that those parts were apparently edited out or withheld entirely from the publication of the Urantia book. So, no, I'm not, I've been told I'm just at this point where I can't accept all the truth in the Urantia book, but like I said, there is no major truth advanced in the Urantia book overall that is against reincarnation. Just a few key statements here and there, and other than that, a big vacuum. And that is contrary to the method of presentation in the Urantia book overall, which belabors these points repeatedly, which the major themes of the cosmology are woven throughout. So, again, and where that occurs in the book, which is most of the book, there's complete harmony with all of these other sources, and they all enlighten each other, and I am very inspired, and I intend to, in the relatively near future, to kind of get back in the swing of things and kind of focus and collect all these things and start really sharing how they harmonize with one another, and the really key, simple truths that are very enlightening and relatively unknown probably to most people, or at least not embraced. I would like to at least share that they are presented consistently across the board. So that's what you can expect in the near future. And until then, carry on.